Mortgage Coach community, Dave Savage, and today I'm sitting down with Todd Baker out of Plano, Texas, Dallas area. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing wonderful, Dave.
Good, good. Well, it's good to finally get to interview you. I've run into you at different events over the years, and I'm looking forward to having an interview for the Mortgage Coach community to really learn about your mortgage practice.
Absolutely, man.
Good. Well, hey, community, I asked Todd to come into this call because we've had a conversation, and he's well known in his market, in his company, as a loan officer that does things right. He's runs a profitable mortgage practice with low pricing exceptions, which in today's market, you see so many loan officers, leaning on pricing exceptions as their number one weapon against rate shopping. And it's just not a sustainable way to do business, guys. So I thought it would be great to interview Todd, talk about how he's driving just a great mortgage conversation. And he's doing it in a way where, one, he's getting rate shopped less. And when he does get rate shopped, he's got a much higher probability of winning without using, the crutch of a pricing exception. So Todd, if you could just tell everybody a little bit about your practice, your market, how long you've been doing it.
Absolutely. Well, I've been in business almost 15 years. I'm actually originally from California. My mom and dad moved out there across Route 66 back in the Great Migration. And so I grew up out there. But then I then came as the pioneer migration out of California to Texas, 10 years ago. And it's been really good for us. So I've actually had two careers in the mortgage industry, one there and then restart here. And Mortgage Coach has always been an integral part of that, of what I do. And mortgage planning has always been a part of that. And so right to the point on rate shopping, because I actually train loan officers in my company. I mentor new trainees. And when it comes to rate shopping, I think you hit on a key point, and that's the idea of probabilities. And one thing I teach is that our entire system, from lead gen to lead conversion to presentation to during and then to post-closing retention and marketing, if you designed a business system to where every point along that path, the action you take is the highest probability action, it necessarily induces success. In other words, it's a mathematically induced success. So that's what I'm about. It's like, what's the practice that leads to the most likely result that is where I want to be. So when it comes to rate shopping, it's primarily an issue of framing. And by the way, I read your article, very insightful. I think you utterly nailed better than anybody I've ever seen right now where the market is. You nailed it, Dave. Where the market is, what you need to be growing. I'm not just saying that because I've appreciated you over years. I was really stunned because I'm actually doing, I think that's why you told me to read it, right? Because I hadn't noticed it yet. I was like, man, I'm doing all this stuff, and so you definitely know that.
Todd, real quick, guys, I want to make sure you put that in context. He's referring to our lead conversion playbook. I'm putting a link down below. If you have not read it, I mean, it's, I don't want to brag, but it is the most comprehensive article content on how to optimize conversion. I, put it together based off of just dozens of interviews with top producers, and it has the 3 principles, the 12 strategies to optimize lead conversion. So there'll be a link down below, and hopefully you get some value. Anyways, keep it rolling, Todd.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's just, I was blown away when I read through it this morning. And so let's talk about the first thing to think about is the idea of framing. Okay. So I've been part of a SAW group, is what we call it internally. It's an accountability group with our top producers. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of production in this group that we do twice a year. And and this would include that group or anyone that's on your list. And these are some big time mortgage professionals. These are true pros. If any of us get down what I call the rabbit hole of rate shopping, you've lost. You've already lost. You're down to where you're battling with using objections, using pricing exceptions. You've lost. So the way to win is by framing the conversation in the very beginning. So the first thing is we want to use the term acceptance. Let's accept the fact that only about 5% of the public, and this is anecdotal, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly accurate, are true rate shoppers where they're like neurotically obsessed with having to get the best deal. Most of us are quality over price consumers. But that 5%, okay, all they care about is that price. Those are not our clients. Let them go. Literally let them go. Because what's your probability? You're wasting all your time chasing those. So if you can then take the 95%, what I found is that the interest rate question is because they don't know what else to ask, Dave. They don't know what else to ask, right? So it's like,
Right.
like being a doctor at a party and they start talking about their neck hurts or their knee. They don't know what else to ask. So what you do is you understand that it's the traditional objection is to say, hey, when they ask interest rate, they're asking long-term cost. And there's some truth in that. But what they're really saying to you is, I'd like to know that I can trust you. That's what they're telling you. So how you establish that trust is you have to take some time up front, a little bit more time. I know the number one objection over all these years I've been a mortgage coach member, listening to the coaching calls has been what, Dave? It takes too much time. It doesn't take too much time. It takes a few minutes to do the mortgage coach presentation, but it might take you 10 or 15 minutes to prepare a specific presentation to that client. However, if you do it correctly, they're closed, right? So let me tell you what I mean by that. If I get up there, I'm going to show how the bond market works. I'm going to compare my pricing to competitors. When I first showed some people I was doing that, they're like, man, you're really showing your price to competitors? Yeah, I am. Now, I'm not picking like the lending tree bait and switch clickbait people to compare it to. I get legitimate big banks to show them, hey, our rates are fantastic. They're right in line or at the low tier of that, right? And then I show them if they have a low score, what do we know about score? We know that if the score is low, they're going to have a higher rate. Why? Secondary market or loan level pricing adjustments, right? So if I show them what like a 760, 25% down pricing looks like in my presentation, and then I show them, but they have a 620, I show them what 620 looks like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm educating them, like right out of your playbook, right, Dave? I'm educating them. But I'm also establishing what's called, it's a persuasive technique called confirmation bias. They already believe as a consuming public that their score, they're going to pay a higher rate with low score. You're just confirming that, hey, I've got good rates, but when I adjusted for the score, now here's where you're at. And then let's say the opposite, they just have great scores. You're at least showing them that your rate's competitive. So now they're going to focus their attention away from that and straight onto my TCA. And then I'm going to develop a TCA that I'm always going to give 3 options. I learned that years ago from Jeremy Forcier. One of the takeaways I got from one of his many coaching calls he's done, because I want them shopping my rate sheet. The 3 options will depend on what the situation is. If it's just sort of a vanilla conventional loan, like say 5% down, I always do like a point, without a point, a true discount, without a discount, and with a lender credit. And then I'm able to demonstrate cost over time and get into a entirely different conversation with that borrower. So I deliver a TCA. I like to do a screenshot video. I have a templated out closing cost, but I deliver a very powerful presentation. And let me tell you what happens. It eliminates about 90% of the shopping, so that back end 10% or 5% I can pick up either through overcoming objections, or if they're an acute shopper where that's all they care about, it's like, I don't even care. Just go find somebody else, because I don't need to bother with that. The result is, you're right, I have in my company the lowest level of pricing exceptions over the last 5 years, which makes me and my team probably the highest, most profitable loan officer. And let me tell you what that does. That gives me, I'm a personal friend with the president of our company. He's a great guy. I'm on our sales management team. But if I need a favor, guess what, guys? I get it every single time. And I don't have to ask very often, but because they know how committed I am. So that's sort of the general background of how I do the business, the presentation.
So what I've taken away is you do a great job on the front end. You wow the client with value and advice. You give them options, and when they pick the loan, they pick the loan officer. So folks, I highly recommend you click, if you haven't read it, the lead conversion playbook. When you look at the strategies, just kind of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If how well you're doing. And I would just tell everybody this, at least this is my belief. If you're not a 7 or better in 12 out of the 12 strategies, your future is not bright in the mortgage space. In today's world, competing with loan officers like you, I think the top producers are going to do better. By the way, I think new loan officers can crush it. I interviewed too many top new loan officers that come in and do it the right way. They're advisors, not rate quoters, app takers, and they're crushing it. But if you are not delivering options, if you are not using technology, you're going to get beat by loan officers that do. So I feel like between now and 2020, 2021, if loan officers don't really get committed to being advisors like you are, use Mortgage Coach technology to deliver advice, I just feel like it's going to be a tough race ahead. And profitability is going to be a real problem.
Well, profitability is a problem now, and I think we're in a market that's under total transformation, and so is the real estate community. They're in total disruption, and they don't even realize it. They have no clue they're even in disruption right now. However, there's huge opportunity, because what's happening is that it's very hard to recruit and train a brand new loan officer. I'm not saying, like you're saying, Dave, if they do it right, they can crush it, but there's a lead time that's fairly long to get them to start up and running and even getting basic production. So that's an impediment to entry into the business. And then you've got the rest of the recruiting out there feeding on each other with people like myself and other colleagues that are good producers, say anywhere from 5 million up or 10 million up. That's who people are going after. There's different strategies for recruiting there, but it's hard, man. So that means, as a loan officer that uses technology and great practices, you have probably an unprecedented opportunity right now, in my opinion. And I think everyone needs to read the article as far as everyone talks about compression, and I hear about the rate. There's like all this rate shopping and how difficult it is in the marketplace. I'm really not experiencing that, but they're I've literally been able to train everyone in my office to start doing a presentation. I have several that are using Edge now, and they're getting the results. They're getting the results of higher conversions, less rate shopping. I mean, I can go on and on, but go ahead, man.
I have a couple more questions, and I like to keep these kind of short and tight.
Yeah, absolutely.
But by the way, folks, down below, I'm going to put a link to a recent interview I did with Jeremy Forcier, and I actually just posted the LinkedIn article today. Whereas if you delivered that total cost analysis experience at the point of sale and just gave that great value, and then you did get rate shocked, which it still happens, but you said, oh, well, forward me over the total cost analysis the other loan officer did. Anyways, check it out down below. Great script, great strategy for the times that you do. Yeah. So what are your favorite features in Mortgage Coach? Like, if you had to call out, a favorite magic feature that we provide you, what would you say are one or two of your favorites?
Well, the big thing is I do like to have the FaceTime video, and I sort of use that in combination with screenshot as well, because the screenshot gives you a little bit more of a visual education tool. But I also like the fact that you can, number one, if someone, like I heard watching Jeremy's video, how he's had clients, he had to do 8, 9 presentations. Sometimes you get clients like that. It's easy to amend them on the fly. It's nice to be able to go back and use it as a reference point to sort of see what you quoted people versus where the market is right now, in case you need to make an adjustment so you don't have a disruption of that closing ratio you're trying to get on that borrower. And I also use it for the annual mortgage reviews, which is really easy to set up. The templating features, for example, is fantastic. I think it's elegant in the sense that it's fairly simple to use. So
do you add videos often to the Mortgage Coach report?
Yeah, yes, I do. I used to do them for a while. I did them exclusively, but I'm doing them now on my post-closing, and I'm sort of back to the screenshot video. It sort of depends on the client and then what I want to deliver.
Well, the point I wanted to make there is I do think it's more important than ever to emotionally connect. I mean, as a referral-based local mortgage professional, you've got the fact that you're local, and you've got the fact that you can really emotionally connect. So whether you meet with the family or not, adding a video to your total cost analysis amplifies that emotional connection.
Absolutely.
And especially when it comes to annual reviews, because if you do a great job at the point of sale, deliver that 5-star experience, and then you set the expectation that you're managing their mortgage, you're going to do annual reviews. I mean, you really don't have to worry about Amazon Mortgage. At least I don't think you do. So hey, anybody that's watching this, I'll put a couple links down below: lead conversion playbook, the most recent rate shopping script from Jeremy. Any parting words or any favorite interviews or videos that you've watched over the years that you think other people should check out?
No, you know what, man? I'm at a point in my career, I mentioned this to you, we chatted a little bit. I'm about implementation. That's what I'm about. I've spent a lifetime of listening to motivational books. I've been to, Steve Marshall's all of his events earlier. That's when we first met, you know, way back in the day, and the big Vegas events, remember, before the crash, man.
Right.
You know, and then you know, sales mastery and all of that. But man, I got like up to here with like motivation, and I'm into implementation. That's what I'm into. And so I go back. I used to watch the weekly coaching videos every week. I go back every few months, and I'll do like from a Netflix, you know, run, you know, where I spend 6 hours going through them. But the community's been wonderful. It's helped me immensely. And it's something that I told you too. I mean, when we first saw the housing crisis happen and we came out of that, you circled this community around what you believed, and you showed that to like, hey, I practice what I preach. I've really had a lot of respect for you as an entrepreneur and as a professional coming out of the housing crisis, and seeing what you've done since then has been pretty amazing, man. And really, it's the same model we're doing in our business. We're adding massive value. Let me okay, here's the closing thought. Steve Marshall used to have a great saying: add massive value at point of sale, right? Because you create stickiness. So if you can create $50,000 worth of value at point of sale, they're less likely to shop. Well, how are you going to do that? You have to have an application like Mortgage Coach, where you can demonstrate cost and net equity over time, and it becomes very easy. And that is part of what I do, is that whole presentation. So I'll wrap up with that, man.
Well, I like what you said, because I do think anybody listening to this, as a referral-based local mortgage professional, you need to deliver tangible advice that adds value. You need to make the digital transition. And I personally believe that 2020 should be your bullseye. Again, the sooner you do it, the better. If you were a mortgage coach in today's market, you'd convert more, you'd have less price exceptions. But 2020 and beyond, I mean, it's going to get rough. So hopefully this is value. If you got a takeaway, like it, give us a like, let us know that, hey, that was good, I got a value takeaway, and forward this to your mortgage friends, anybody you think would get value from today's interview. Todd, I really appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being a leader in our community, and everybody that you train on Mortgage Coach. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Take care, man.